Hello, this is Terrace, unsold from Tama-Do Academy, and I'm in my little tough shed meditating on a very deep topic. Addiction. What it does to you, what it does to your family, to loved ones, to community. How the whole society is affected by addiction. You probably know that Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle were murdered by their son Nick, who's 32 years old and who is an addict and has been in rehab, 18 times from the ages of 15 to 22. Nick is the age of Fabian's son. I am the age of Rob Reiner's wife. All of us have had an experience with someone in our lives who has an addiction. And the reason I think it's important to talk about is because I am a teacher in the New Age world, in the sound healing world, and I see sound healers using sound like an addiction, like a drug. Tama-Do Academy is very strict. We are no drugs, no alcohol, no hallucinogenic plants of any kind. And a lot of people, they either thank us and they think it's wonderful, or they think we're just so barbaric and so, old-fashioned. Why are we so judgmental? And I'll tell you why. Because I have students whose lives have been destroyed because of their drug addict children. I have friends that have been drug addicts that have destroyed their own life. And I have students that are recovering addicts that have flourished because they found their way to the light. They found their soul through their experience to the light, and it can be done. It's not a death sentence to have addictive behavior, to be an addict. It's a disease. And if you start with that premise, there's hope, because diseases can be cured. You can work to heal it. But what you see in the story of Nick and his family is there are so many wrong ways that you can take. And it sounds like they took a couple. It sounds like there were therapy programs that Nick was sent to as a teenager that were like abuse camps. They sounded horrible. And yet at the same time, Nick refused to go to AA because he just didn't want to be labeled, maybe. I have had students that don't want to go to AA because they don't want the negativity of saying that there is something wrong with them, that they are an addict. They see that as a negative. They believe, because they're part of the New Age community, that we are perfect. We are perfect in the eyes of God. Well, yes, I teach that. I teach that we are perfect. Our souls are perfect, but our personalities are another story. And our personalities need to be trained. So addiction, if you start at 15, I don't know if you guys know about the frontal cortex of the brain. The brain does not get fully developed until we're 26 years old. And so when you start drugs at 15, it's like you don't have the front of your brain. And the front of your brain is the part of your brain that helps you to be a good person in society. It's so interesting. We say that your personality is cooked by the time you're 7 years old. But your social skills are cooked when your brain is cooked at 26. Our teenage years are when we are bouncing around in the lower astral, social, emotional, trying to decide who we are as a human being. And in Tama-Do Academy, what I teach during this period of becoming ourselves is ethics. Is why are we here? The fundamental importance for us as a human being is to know why we are here as a soul. We are here to give back to others, to make this beautiful world even better than when we arrived here. My healing began when I was in my teenage years, when everybody in my family died from accidents. And that's what got me into the healing world, because I needed to heal myself. And then I thought, wow, I want to pass this on. And that's the ultimate healing, is when you can teach what you know, what you have mastered, to others. That's what makes you a master, is that you've mastered your own stuff so that you can help others. And that's the ethic of AA. Is pass it on. And that's the ethic that needs to be imprinted in the frontal lobe of your neocortex, is pass it on. Give. This is where the unicorn horn comes out. Give to others. Give that golden light. Transmit it to others. Don't hold it inside. A lot of people think healing is about me, about myself. It's not. If you are about your self-center, you become self-centered. It has to be soul-centered, of expression of soul, which is expression of light, which is expression of love that you pass on to others. But how do you find the love? Oh God, this is a big, long topic. How do you teach someone the love of God if you've never felt love? How can you teach what it feels like to fall in love? That's a tough one. We can warn you of what happens if you are doing drugs before your brain has formed, is that if you do drugs at 15, you're going to remain a 15-year-old, even though you're 32 years old. Because you fried the front of your brain. It's never been formed. So the front of the brain, I know this. One of my brothers has two brain injuries from the front of his brain, one from a climbing accident, one from a bicycle accident. And this is the part of the brain where you can control your emotions. You become civilized. You become polite. You become considerate. You become compassionate. You become empathetic of others. But if you don't have this, and you're still a teenage boy of 15, it's all about me. Mine. Myself. And I think that there's a lot of healing techniques out there are about self. And it's not enough. It has to be why. Why am I healing myself? I am healing myself so that I can be better in service for the higher cause of the light. So fast forward from drug addiction in your teenage years, your early 20s, you go to college. Most of my drug addict students, they find drugs in college. And one boy became a drug addict of cocaine, and it destroyed him. One woman asked me, whose son is an addict, well, I'm starting to go to this Christian group and they're talking about devils. Do you believe in, like, spirits, like devils inside? And I think every modality has their own language. It's negative energy that possesses you. It's the addiction. It's the drug. It's the drug wanting more. I think that all you parents out there must tell your kids, don't do drugs until you're 26 if you're going to do it. Do it after your brain is formed so that you are in power. Drugs don't free us. Drugs consume us and they lead. Drugs are too strong. We are taking drugs. Why? Why do you do the ayahuasca trip? Why do you do the trancing whatever? Because this hallucinogenic whatever is doing something that you cannot do for yourself? That's disempowerment. Why are you giving yourself away? Why are you doing that? You can get high without any support. But it's tough to break the habits if that's what you've been raised into. And the new generations now, God, I sound so old. I'm a photographer. When I used to take photos, it was with Fuji film, with slides and prints. And it took for fucking ever. And the pictures, though, were glorious. The colors, the intensity, the layers, and all that is gone. Now it's fast. It's digitized, it's crisp, it's clean, and it doesn't look, there's something missing. And so what we've all learned to do in Photoshop or in whatever program we have, we amp it up. We make it more bright, more vibrant. And when you have these high def screens, you can amp it up more. And then you have the 4K and the 3D and the 4D and the surround sound of color. And pretty soon it's like a Technicolor orgasm. And you live in this Technicolor fake altered reality. And guess what it's feeding? Your dopamine, your pleasure sensors. I have a student who's a wonderful photographer. He's a movie maker. And he was in Switzerland on many of my trips. And then he got into the amping up the colors. So he amped up a bunch of colors of photos he took on Swiss. And so when he came back the last time, he didn't have his camera. And he looks out at the scenery. He goes, "Where are we?" I said, "What do you mean? You've been here 5 times. You filmed this." He didn't recognize it. Why? Because it wasn't amped up. It was natural. We can't ever reach the point where natural is boring, because then we're just a society of addiction. There's so many addictions. There's so many ways to be on that roller coaster, on that wild ride. I love joy. I love light. I love wild rides. So why is my wild ride okay, but your wild ride is an addiction? Well, maybe my wild ride is an addiction, but I'll tell you when addiction is okay. When it's addiction of God. It's addiction to the light. But if it was addiction to, oh God, I'm really on it now. If it was addiction to the light, it still would not be okay if I kept it for myself. There you go. Addiction, even of God, is not okay if you just take it in like you swim with your arms grabbing and pulling into your heart. You can't do that. addiction to God is perfect when you transmit God to others. Addiction to the light is perfecto when you transmit the light to others. That they too can be inspired by the light to transfer it to others. That's Tama-Do. That's what healing is. So sound healing? Sound healing has lost its way at the moment. It's lost its way, I would say, probably for the last 20 years, but there's cycles. The technicolor of color, I told you about, the technicolor of sound is, I think we're just getting out of the chaos of sound baths. There was sound baths. I've already talked about this, how Fabian and I made sound baths to be so noisy. It's our fault because we were in our creative chaos. We were trying all sorts of instruments, and then we wrote the Tao of Sound and put all the instruments in the Tao of Sound. You guys all read the book, and then you play with all those instruments, and everybody's getting blasted with sound. And they'd go, wow, some trip, man. That's really cool. And we bypassed, I learned that word today, bypassed spirituality. We did it. People were doing it, not me, but people were doing it to get high for no better reason than to activate the pleasure sensors. And that's not healing. It's not enough. I think that there's too much in this new age generation of wanting to check out, wanting to trance out. I think that sound baths are kind of not the thing anymore. There was gong baths, and now gong baths are getting to be boring because the generations need more and more new things to do. Now it's trance dance. Anything to get us out of here. Anything to get those receptors snapping. I have a very lovely student, one of our old dear students, who was a cocaine addict. And it was very sad that, like AA, Tama-Do is a way of life. It's a deep commitment of practice, personal practice, qigong every day, meditation every day. You're cleaning yourself every day. You're constantly watching. There's no time off. There's no taking a cruise and holiday. It's a practice. We are martial artists. And it was too much for him. So years went by, he drifted off, and he claimed that he healed himself with sound healing. I caught up with him and I said, so no more drugs? Well, I'm not an addict anymore. He never went to AA, never had any treatment programs. Instead I do ayahuasca and I do marijuana and whatever that frog venom is called. I'll do that, but it's not because I'm an addict. It's because I'm curious. Because I like it. What do you say? And this lovely soul is now teaching new generations of people to trance out with sound healing. forgetting that the fundamental principle of any kind of healing is to make the world a better place. And I think the world being a better place is the natural world. I'm going to show you. It's the back. This is my view out my tough shed at sunset. This is my laundry. It's so peaceful. There's no Photoshop. It's the real deal. It's sinking down with the sun into the arms of Morpheo. Sinking down into the arms of Mother Earth. Feeling the earth beneath this tough shed just getting quiet. Everybody's settling down. You know, if it's almost 4 o'clock, I'm going to be in bed as soon as the sun disappears and the sunset goes down, because I'm now in the rhythm of winter. I'm living the elements in this initiation of the California fires that took Misty Haven, and I'm living on the land. And it's marvelous because it's teaching me, it's reinforcing that the place to find God is in the heart of nature. I am the instrument. I am the harp. I am the tuning fork, and I am played by the beauty of the nature. I don't need some alien force to play me. I don't want to be controlled by some drug or some substance. I want to be played by the light and the love of my guides, of God. And I pass that on to you. I send love and heartfelt empathy to all of those of you who are on your healing journey, either with your own addiction, with loved ones who are dealing with addiction. I think it's the whole world. Because addiction is just longing for the light in all the wrong places. I pray that one day there is a solution for all. But humanity is also different. Everyone must find their own way. And Tama-Do is my way. AA can be the other way. If you have a way that's worked for you, let me know. This is a very deep, dear topic of mine. Thank you for listening.